de ASEAN agenda should support this
Well, in more conceptual way, I would love to say the key priority is resilient multilateralism. So Kazakhstan keeps puts a lot of efforts to facilitate multilateral mechanisms, to preserve international system, and to keep a dialogue in international affairs. What is extremely important for us in these turbulent times when the core of international order is stressed by many contested powers is to keep talking, to keep a dialogue open. Kazakhstan did great in terms of foreign policy planning in recent years. For example, you see that we have a lot of new countries for our foreign policy. We started to work more on extraterritorial approach. So strong and stable dialogue, not only with our regional partners in Central Asia, in the Middle East, in the Gulf region, but now we started to engage even more with most powers in the world. For example, for the first time, we started to develop quite successfully our own Americas presence, quite new region for our foreign policy. At the same time, our ambassadors in Africa continent doing brilliant job in bringing Kazakhstan to Africa, one of the most rising regions of our foreign policy presence. At the same time, having strong and stable relations with Russia, China, Iran, and the rest of the Caspian players. We consider Caspian route as extremely important for us, taking into consideration our ambitions on middle corridor. We believe that having strong and stable relations with the European Union is extremely important in these times. So Kazakhstan will play even more role in steering the ties between West and East parts of Eurasian continents to preserve our own national interests and to keep the continent not divided but connected. You know, for Kazakhstan, it is quite natural state because 6 centuries of Kazakh statehood was always affected by being neighboring to both to Russian and Chinese empire. We understand it as, China is a great civilization, extremely important partner. Russia is a completely different civilization, being more Slavic, being more different in terms of strategic culture and behavior. But anyway, we managed to keep a dialogue. We managed to survive. We managed to develop. It was not about only survival. It was about dialogue, exchange. The very core of Kazakh strategic culture is all about keeping dialogues. So in terms of major geopolitical shifts in the heart of Eurasia, I think centralization of C5 plus format in the foreign policy of Central Asian states is one of the results or concrete deliverables of this ongoing situation. What's even more important, we decided to strengthen the ties with the Central Asian partners. Looking back, for example, for 5 years back, and now, there is no any question in our domestic affairs, and we consider Central Asian processes as a domestic affairs. There is no any question we cannot discuss with our Central Asian brothers. All of the questions are always open. We have special flexible formats. It is called consultative meetings of the head of the state of Central Asia, where all of the Central Asian 5 leaders can discuss all of the aspects, from security to border issues, and much more questions to discuss at this format. It is very important, not only for Kazakhstan as the biggest country, biggest economy, established middle power, the one and only in the region, but for all of the region, because in Kazakhstan we have a clear understanding that success of Kazakhstan means success of all Central Asian five. And at the same time, fail of any of C5 is a fail for all of the C5 states. The initiative of a middle corridor is not just a part of Belt and Road Initiative, but it is a very concrete project proposed by Kazakhstan, supported by the rest of the Caspian Space or South Caucasus partners, then Turkey and European Union, working together with Japanese, South Korean, and Chinese business to develop this corridor. So a Belt and Road Initiative is very important in terms of keeping connectivity open, keeping connectivity in top of the agenda, and at the same time to be sure that we have enough mechanisms to discuss different things on that, because there are a lot of, it's not a single, you remember originally it was one belt and one road. To the moment it's a belt and road. A lot of roads are parts of Belt and Road Initiative. So we need to keep talking all together, also with China. That's why C5 plus China is very important for us. We're going to host it, I think, in Astana this year. That's why engaging China to development of Central Asia is very important for us. It is one of the sources of constructive work with out of regional powers, for example. We're doing the same with the European Union, as example. We're doing the same with Japan, with South Korea, and 10 plus partners with whom we have C5 plus format. Transport, economy, and investments are always high on the agenda. At the same time, I believe I'm pretty much sure that it's time to discuss more deep issues. It is visa issues, because if Central Asians cannot travel, cannot come to Europe easily, it will affect anyway. It will affect, because now we're quite limited in our trade. Even if, for example, for Kazakhstan, European Union is the biggest trade partner, but still our business have some problems to come here to discuss with partners in real life. It is what should be improved in the nearby future. I believe the dialogue on visa issues is extremely important. At the same time, we need to think about public diplomacy cooperation, because for many years, that's why work of Kazajstan is so much important. For many years, it is a huge, some way, a lack of presence of the united Europe in Kazakhstan and in Central Asia. Of course, we understand the geographical factors that we are far from each other. At the same time, a lot of things to work. For example, we have great human capital in Kazakhstan. We have so many students from our country come with state scholarships from the government of Kazakhstan to study at the best universities in Europe and the world, located in Europe too. We have so many potential spheres where the alumni of the European University can be a very crucial part of this cooperation. At the same time, the agenda of energy transition and green economy, it is very important. We see a lot of opportunities in terms of green industrial development. any initiative based on connectivity is extremely important, because one of the results, 2 years ago, it's actually already 3 years ago, when we get the first sanctions package implemented by the EU, a lot of European products has disappeared from Kazakhstan market too. Why? Because the focal point or entrance point for the Western business to operate within CIS region was always Russia. And then a lot of European goods has disappeared, and our business was have to create new routes, new options, new channels, how we get a lot of European goods. Well, I believe it is $1 million question, to be honest. But US is still a very important and reliable partner for Kazakhstan. I think it was not the last year, but 2023, when we had, for the first time ever, C5 plus US format at the level of the presidents, with attendance of President Biden during the high-level week at the UN in New York. We hosted C5 plus US. This dialogue should be a good platform for us to discuss various things, to collaborate with the US. At the same time, we have a very natural barriers. We also understand the limitations while working with the US. It is Jackson-Vanik amendments, which was actually implemented on Soviet Union. It is trade restrictions and some form of sanctions regime against whole territory of former Soviet Union. Now it's not active for Russia and Kyrgyzstan, but for rest of the Central Asian states, it is still active. So if the Congress will not make some form of exclusion for Kazakhstan granted for 1 year, what they doing from 1991 every single year, we're going to have some trade barriers to trade with the US. That's why I believe that the challenge for the President Trump administration is actually work on the Jackson-Vanik amendments to be sure that the dialogue between the US and Central Asia is fully possible and not limited with the rudiments of the old era. Because, USSR disappeared some decades ago, and we still are on the same pace. US is important trade partner and investing partner. At the same time, we believe that constructive engagement of US to the Central Asian politics is also important. We collaborate in terms of investment, trade, education. A lot of our young, prominent, and extremely talented youth prefer to study at the US universities. That's why I think we have the big community of the American University alumni in whole Central Asian region. We have a lot of enthusiasts who work on Central Asia from the US, and they are very big names in the field of Central Asian studies. For example, Professor Frederick Starr or Dr. Madeleine Laruelle doing brilliant job in Central Asian studies in the US. That's why we should keep the dialogues. The door is always open. The very unique nature of Central Asian states, it is the ability to keep talking. We understand that Central Asia will not be at the top of the priorities of the President Trump administration. They have too many things to deal with in terms of domestic and international affairs. At the same time, we need not, we don't need a immediate comprehensive agenda and over interest, but stability is highly required. We need to discuss many things, including commitment to the international organization, international law, to keep all of the dialogues open and to constructively engage the US to the dialogue in Central Asia. We respect territorial sovereignty, as territorial integrity and sovereignty of the states. We extremely support all of the peace measures. For example, our Chinese colleagues had a peace plan on the conflict maybe a year or 2 years ago, if you remember. We, in our part of the world, from our own historic perspective, we believe that the diplomacy is solution. We have to discuss. It will be not easy discussions at all. It is clearly understandable. But at the same time, diplomacy should work. This liberal institutionalism, our existing international order, is all based on the diplomacy, on the principles of multilateralism, in the principles of the free trade, just to mention free trade, international law, centrality of international organization, and to respect to territorial integrity and sovereignty. All of the four pillars of the international order is now stressed by different contested powers all around the globe. But what Kazakhstan is doing also highly affects Central Asian affairs, is creating special place, safe place for the dialogue. For example, Kazakhstan engaged different parts for Syria process, peaceful Syria process, if you remember, for many, many, many years. We hosted something around 26 or 25 rounds of Syrian negotiations, engaging different countries to discuss peaceful process in Syria. Same we did with our initiative of the Congress of the World and Traditional Religion Leaders Summit. It was the very first time in the human history for any country in the world to collect all of the leaders to discuss. So the spiritual diplomacy is also part of the Kazakh diplomacy. That's why we deeply believe and consider diplomacy as the only form of solution